The class of 2026 slot receiver group is loaded. Let's break them down.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into the Portal Podcast, where you get your daily recruiting, NIL, and transfer portal scoop. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football writer and recruiting analyst. Thank you for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at Game Time. If you need last-minute ticket deals, Game Time's the place for you. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. We're going to break down the best slot receivers in the country for the class of 2026. This is probably the hardest list that I did, not because of just the talent, which is tremendous, but which guys should I label as slot receivers? There are a handful of players on this list that either play running back, quarterback, defensive back, or something like that during their high school career, in addition to being a possible slot receiver. Some of them could be labeled as outside receivers. So if there's somebody on this list that you were surprised by, or somebody that's not, that's probably why. When I do my athlete category at the end of the year, that's the hardest one. That maybe somebody from this list gets switched over because they moved around again, but it's a lot of fun to talk about these kids regardless. So I have 12 players. We're going to break them down from 12 to number 1. And the key ingredient here for all these guys probably is elusiveness. Some of them are a little faster than others, but speed aside, if you can't make guys miss in short space, you're not on my list. Every one of these young men can do that. And as you'll see at the end, there's even a guy that is sub 4.4 electronic, and there's some other guys that are probably right there with him. So electric group. We start off with number 12, Bubba Frazier, out of Benedictine Military School in Savannah, Georgia. He's committed to Notre Dame. This is a young man that is shot out of a cannon, linear speed, no doubt, but he's also very strong. He's 5'9", about 180 pounds, 190 pounds, and he can bounce off guys like a pinball. As a return man, as a slot, he's somebody that could probably play running back if he wanted to. Not that Notre Dame needs help at the running back position. They already have a couple big-time commits there as well. But he could have went to a lot of schools and been the main guy in a class. He's a little underrated in terms of the fanfare for him, and I could have even placed him higher on this list, but he does dominate for Benedictine, and here's a key ingredient with him. This is a young man that has the ability to run routes. You can tell by how competitive he is after contact that it means something to him. And that's another ingredient throughout this list. If you're not a guy that's breaking tackles, you're probably not on my list. Bubba Frazier is one of the strongest players on this list, and I think his upside is still very high. He could be a riser in my postseason rankings. Number 11, this is another player that is a lot of fun to watch and maybe the most difficult grade of this list. He plays in Delaware, so it's a little harder. Jasir Rogers, committed to Penn State, not a guy that you want to be one-on-one with, punt return, slot, just running an out route, or even just a bubble screen. Jasir Rogers plays at Appoquinimink, probably mispronouncing that. He's in Middletown, Delaware, and just absolutely loved watching his film. I think he's one of those guys that probably ends up playing early at Penn State. They obviously need help at receiver, but it's not just going to be as a receiving threat. Look for him to be a possible punt return candidate as a freshman, or if not, first year, possibly second year. A lot of coaches don't like freshmen returning punts. I get it, but he is electric. The first guy is rarely even going to get a hand on him, and his ability to make guys miss turns into the ability to be a track guy too. So Jasir Rogers is an electric player headed to Penn State. Next up on this list is probably the savviest guy on the list, and that's from Cass Tech in Detroit. Tremendous program. Corey Sadler Jr. This young man has the ability to not only set up his routes really, really well, but he sets up the moves that he makes after the football is in his hands. Corey Sadler Jr. has the innate ability to just know how to get a guy rocking one way or the other and make him miss. He's not quite as fast as, say, Jasir Rogers or Bubba Frazier or some of the other guys on the list, but he's just a darn good football player, and he's got great hands. If you're not going to be a true burner, and he's fast, but some of these guys are just electric. If you're not going to be a true burner, You've got to be a guy that makes the sensational catch. You've got to be the reliable third down option. Sadler Jr. is absolutely that. Number 9 on the list is another guy that can absolutely, unequivocally fly. I saw him in 8th grade, and I knew then that it was going to be a special player. Braden Robinson, this young man plays for Red Oak. It's just on the edge of Dallas, and he is shot out of a cannon. Not the biggest guy in the world, 5'8", 170, 180 range, but can just absolutely fly. He'll make the first guy miss, and if you are out of your depth in terms of tackling, get the wrong guy on him in space, it's touchdown. It is absolutely a touchdown. He's also a young man that will beat you in the return game. He's a guy that you could probably play in the backfield. I think that's an interesting way that it could be used. Miami, Notre Dame, those are probably the last two, barring something unforeseen. I think the Irish have the edge, but I'm not sure. Miami may end up with him. You never know. And he is a tremendous football player. There's a lot of schools that probably should have recruited him, but he's 5'8". Don't be fooled by the size. At slot receiver, it's not as important either. And there's some guys like him that have played in the NFL in the last 10, 15 years that have been very, very effective. But very few are as fast as him. And to put it in perspective, just for full disclosure, when I saw Braden Rodgers coming out of his 8th grade year, he was faster than a lot of Power 4 guys that I saw on the same field, the same day, trying to cover him that had major offers that were 3 and 4 years older than him. And he was running by him. Electric speed. Number 8 is another guy that can blow right by you. Could have placed him at outside receiver, but I think if he goes to Auburn, that's where he's committed. That's where he will play. And that's Devin Carter out of Douglas County High School, just outside of Atlanta, Georgia. 6 foot, 170 pounds. He is the son of Dexter Carter, who played at Florida State for Bobby Bowden from 86 to 90 and played in the NFL for the Niners. Big time athlete. Will he play slot or not? That was a little bit of a guess on my part, but he's a national recruit. Florida State got his commitment originally. Auburn flipped him, and now Florida State's trying to flip him back. As of this recording, I don't know where he's going to go. I could see him ended up at Florida State, but we'll see. The bottom line, though, this is another guy with home run speed. He will make you miss. A little taller than some of the other guys, but it's the same principle. The first player in space probably not going to do very well against him after he gets the football. And he's pretty good down the field, too. He's not going to be a Randy Moss type because he's only about 6 foot, but he'll go up the ladder and make a catch for you as well. Next on the list, number 7, Jason Lopez. This is what I would call the consummate slot receiver. The guys that played for the Patriots, the guys that just absolutely set up their routes really, really well. He's similar to Sadler Jr., but he also has a little moxie to him. He's got a little edge, a little chip on his shoulder. Jason's athleticism in space is incredible, but it's the footwork from play to play, really, really good. And he has that little extra to it where he beats guys and turns them around sometimes. I saw him at the Miami Under Armour event the last 2 years, dominant. He plays at Chaminade Madonna, who's produced tons of players all over the country, including, yes, Jeremiah Smith, who's now at Ohio State. They do a tremendous job of coaching these young men up at Chaminade. Lopez is next up. Florida State or Miami, I think it'll be the latter where he ends up, but we'll see. He's got schools all over the country recruiting him. Not the biggest guy in the world, 5'10", 175, 180 pounds, somewhere in that range. But he's also, again, tough as nails, likes contacts, plays through contact. He makes the tough catches, too. He's your third down guy. Jason Lopez is going to be a very good college football player. Number 6, this is a guy that I'm not sure where I would rank him. If he only concentrated on offense, I think he would be even better. He might be top 3. Nir Ranken out of Morgan Park High School in Chicago. He's committed to Illinois. Congrats to the Fighting Illini. They got the most explosive player in the state. Now, he could end up playing corner. He could absolutely end up playing corner, but he plays both ways. Does a little bit of everything for his high school, as you would expect. I am not surprised that everybody went after him. A little surprised that not only he got the selection of Illinois, but so early. Props to Brett Bielema and his staff, because this kid can play for any school in the country. Georgia, Florida, Texas, doesn't matter. He is elite. But now, can they hold on to him? That's going to be interesting, too, because it's not like anybody's going to stop recruiting Mr. Nir Ranken. And that speed, punt returner, reverses, screens. I'll be interested to see if they use him on offense at all, even if his primary position ends up being corner, and it certainly could be. But we'll find that out soon enough. When we come back, the top 5 recruits at the slot receiver position in the class of 26. There's nothing like the NBA Finals, and right now the Pacers are up 2-1 over the OKC Thunder. This is an awesome series so far with a lot of incredible shots, a lot of intensity, a lot of buzzer beaters. We've got a few more games to go to find out who's going to be the NBA champ, and with Game Time, you can get last-minute ticket deals up to 60% off. These killer last-minute deals aren't going to be here long. This series is about halfway over. So you've also got the opportunity with panoramic seat views from your phone, looking at the app. There's no surprise fees. What you see is what you get. And again, up to 60% off with those deals. You could also go to comedy shows, movie theaters, or anything else that you can think of with an event. It's awesome on Game Time, so check it out. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to get all your latest recruiting scoop. We are down to number 5 on the countdown here for the top slot receivers in the class of 2026. And we're going to see a lot of SEC folks on this list and some kids from California too, ironically. Jameson Palam, Folsom, California, just outside of Sacramento. He is committed to Ole Miss, and what a tremendous fit he will be for none other than, that's right, Lane Kiffin, the play caller, the Mad Max of the college football world, the guy that just kind of throws it out there on Twitter all the time, or X, whatever you want to call it. This guy fits the profile for what he can just come up with a million different ways to get him the ball. Powell is pretty well versed. Folsom's really good program. They got kids going all over the country, and I believe that he's a guy that's going to play early like some of these other guys. A little more advanced, understands routes, understands the ability to get the ball up, going down and get it off the ground. It doesn't matter where it's thrown. He's got great hands. And the after the catch ability, again, is right there. Size-wise, he's not a huge guy per se, 5'11", 170. But again, Kiffin is the Mad Max of college football when it comes to play calling and how he tries to do things on X. He'll try some different things with him. He might play him outside. He might play him in the backfield. He might use him in the shotgun and use him in Wildcat. Nothing would surprise me with Kiffin, and it's one of the reasons I ranked him this high. I think he will be maximized playing for Ole Miss. Number 4, another California kid. This is a player that plays at Santa Margarita Catholic. His dad played at Notre Dame, but he's going to go to the arch rival. Trent Mosley Jr. is going to the University of Southern California as a sophomore. This is incredible. He was the Trinity League MVP. In this past year, as a junior, even though he missed a better part of a month with an injury, he still had over 60 catches, over 900 yards, and scored a bunch of touchdowns. Trent Mosley Jr. is maybe the best on this list, which is saying something, at making the first defender miss. That's quite the accomplishment. It's arguable because all these guys are good at it. He might be the absolute best. We'll see where he ends up at the end of this year, but he is a tremendous player. Congrats to the USC Trojans. Jermaine Bishop. This is another young man that I could have placed at corner, nickel, whatever you want. But one thing is for sure, the 5'11", 155-pound athlete out of Willis, Texas, just north of Houston, can fly, and he is not a guy that gets hit by the first defender. Curious if they will use him more on offense or defense. Jermaine Bishop's even talked about, hey, I might play both ways at University of Texas, which I have a hard time believing they've got so many guys. That's a lot of playbook to learn, but his physical capabilities are insane. And I don't think he's filled out yet. He's going to gain 15, 20 pounds. If he can gain that weight, if I am correct, he could end up being the best slot receiver in the country before he leaves the University of Texas. The Longhorns have his commitment, and I'm curious to see what Sark does with him down the road. Number 2, Tyreek King out of Knoxville Catholic. Oh my goodness, can this kid run? His ability to make guys look dumb during his routes might be the best on this list. Debatable, again, like on some of the other points here, but he's right there. I almost put him number 1. It was really close between him and another guy I'll talk about next, but this young man's going to play early. Not just like come in and get into the rotation. If he ended up starting before his freshman year is over for the Tennessee Volunteers, Tyreek King wouldn't surprise me. 5'11", 170, 175 pounds. He's from Knoxville. He's obviously very familiar with the University of Tennessee football program. I just think with the generic nature of what they're trying to do in getting guys the ball in space, playing horizontal, it fits Tyreek King to a T. And I do believe he's going to be a guy that comes in as a punt returner. He'll compete there as well. Again, though, route running is a little different for a guy his age. Makes players look really, really bad in space. And he does it before he gets the ball. After the ball is in his hands, Tyreek King's a menace. But before is what's the difference. He gets more separation than most guys on this list. I really, really like him, and I think he's a future NFL player. And finally, the guy that I have number one, I don't need any notes for this one. I've gotten to know him a little bit. Vance Spafford out of Mission Viejo, California, just south of Los Angeles. He's committed to the Georgia Bulldogs, while other schools like Washington, Miami, etc., are trying to flip him. I saw him run a 4.35 electronic 40 at Future 50 about a year or so ago. Holy cow, can that kid run? And his route running is also tremendous. Again, he's one of those guys that should be in that category, but the sheer speed for Spafford is the difference maker here. Legit 4.35 electronic, no ifs, ands, or buts. And both times he ran at Future 50, he was sub 4.4 from what I was told. Like, if you're even close to that, you can fly. But he was absolutely running down anybody. Doesn't matter who it was in the competition. And I was videoing him as he came down. And that's one of the fastest 40s I've ever seen live. And for a kid that hadn't even entered his junior year yet to do that, it's really, really impressive. The other thing about him, he's got a huge chip on his shoulder. I don't know what it stems from. Vance is a really nice guy, but holy cow, does he take everything personal? He wants to dominate, not win, dominate every rep. That's the difference between winning games and winning championships. Spafford, again, is committed to the University of Georgia. They haven't had a guy like this with that much speed in the slot. Obviously, they've had some other guys that are really good at receiver in the last few years, but he's a guy that could go to the NFL Combine if all stays on this current path, be sub 4.3. There aren't a lot of guys that are sub 4.3. Spafford is headed in that trajectory. If he ends up at Georgia or wherever he goes and he's in the right system for him, he's going to light up college football. So Spafford's 5'10", 175 pounds, something like that, but tremendous hands, really good route runner, advanced in terms of his knowledge of understanding coverages. There is not a weakness in his game. I think he's as good a receiver overall as there is in the country in terms of a third down threat. That competitiveness, again, is very important. I think that he is going to play right away for Georgia. And again, if he flips to somebody else, he'll play early wherever he goes. Special football player, special young man. He's always humble when other members of the media interview him or myself or anybody else. Really good kid. So looking forward to seeing him play at the college level. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to get all your latest recruiting news. We're here in the middle of the recruiting season with all the official visits, so we're going to be breaking all that down. The commitments, visit previews, you name it, USC, Texas, Notre Dame, Florida. It could be anybody, but we're going to talk about it right here on the Portal Podcast. So lock in by subscribing. Make sure you share this podcast with as many people as possible, and we will see you again soon on the Portal Podcast.